That must be a relieved dressing room in there.
A pleased dressing room. Been a little bit low of late, certainly on the back of Tuesday night. So we enjoy those moments, enjoy them together. Pleased for our fans in terms of the performance they got to see. I thought we started the game really well on the front foot. Obviously goals help, but we seem to manage the feel of the occasion pretty well today.
There's so many players we could choose to talk about, but I think we're going to start with your goalkeeper. I mean, Jed Ward's third league game for Bristol Rovers, his first at the Memorial Stadium. Sum up how you think he did today.
I'm really pleased. Not only did he make saves, which you kind of expect modern goalkeepers to make, but he was quite composed in his performance. He never looked flustered anytime he made the right decisions, which is why we made a change, in all honesty. So, pleasing start, but it's got to be the start of something next for him, whether that's with ourselves or back out on loan or more game time. He's got to maintain that, because he's certainly got something about him for a young keeper. Young keepers take a long time to mature in terms of their game, but there's a lot to like about him. He was well protected generally from the back line, but when they did break through, he more than earned his coin today.
Is there anything in the agreement between the club and Brentford about how and when Matt Cox plays, or is it completely up to you guys in terms of him playing all the time or not playing?
No, there's nothing in any of the loan agreements in relation to a player has to play or not play an X, Y, Z. Obviously, the agreement did change a couple of weeks ago in terms of when the cut-off was. So they might well recall him. They've got the option to do that at any stage, which is something we're wary of and something we're conscious of in terms of our recruitment of that position. But the headline shouldn't really be about the decision to play Wardy and Cox. It should just be about his performance and the team's performance.
Kamil Conte looked like he'd been playing midfield for Bristol Rovers for years.
Yes, I liked it, the balance him and Sam gave us. Just with an extra body in there, just the strength of that was on show, and it also meant Anthony Evans could probably affect the game in a more attacking sense. I know he's been frustrated of late because we've been asking him to do a certain job in there because of the bodies we've got, which isn't always natural to him, and he affects the game mostly in an attacking sense. So with Sam and Kamil together, I thought they worked well. I thought they were excellent in possession. I still want more of our out possession game when teams force us a little bit deep. We've got to be bolder with our starting positions, and hopefully he'll only get fitter and stronger as time goes on, because he signed late Thursday night. He came late Friday morning on the back of extra scans you've got to do for the medical. So very little training time and very little get to know you time with his teammates. And I'm sure he'll be physically a little bit of a low off the back of that. So really pleased with his start as well. Did
you see certain or different sides to your team today? Because you raced into a lead and then the game changed in the second half and the team had to do something very different. Yeah, look, full credit to them. They obviously flipped their shape at half time. But we had the luxury of being 2-0 up, so they had to force it now. If the deflection hadn't gone in off their own player, not one of our players, we might have just stayed the same for a little bit longer. But then when we did change shape back to similar to what the opposition were doing, then I think it was more of a straightforward game for ourselves. So full credit to the instructions the players took on, and then we had chances as the game progressed. But they've got some quality players. We have to say that. And in terms of they were a constant threat throughout, both on the pitch and from the bench as well. We spoke about Aaron Collins before the game. Is there anything more you can tell us that you didn't? You told us beforehand that it's very much in his hands at the moment. No, it's in the club's hands. We are in charge of that situation until the valuation is met. Then he'll still be our player. But obviously, in terms of being unavailable for today, that was his decision. So, like I said to you beforehand, we understand it to a certain extent, as much as we don't like it. But then there'll be need to be a quick solution in the next few days, because obviously the window closes. Is it late Wednesday night? So we'll see how that pans out. But that's certainly no one else's situation other than ours. Do you expect him to be a Rovers player by the end of that window closing? I honestly don't know. That's going to be down to the hierarchy of the two clubs. He's got 18 months left on his contract, so we're in a strong position. There's obviously a market there for him, so those discussions will continue, and we'll see where it takes us. You say the two clubs. Is it just one club that's interested in him at the moment? In terms of what I'm aware of, there was initial interest from another club, but they seem to have come out of the situation, if that makes sense. So it seems to be only one other. But that might change in the next few days as well. I've sat here enough times in the last few days of the window, and you can never be surprised by who comes in at what stage. So we're certainly in control of that. And in terms of what you want to do in the next few days, is there anything on the horizon for bringing players in?
Well, I'd still like to do a bit more, of course I would. I think that showed in terms of a bit of freshness today. I spoke in the week about how injured players returning can freshen up, new signings, a couple of selection decisions, and we still want to freshen up the squad and strengthen the squad. We've said that all along, so that is still what we're trying to do. Can we obtain all our targets? Probably not, because we've been quite late in terms of the window, but we're certainly going to try.
Does that involve Aaron going out or someone else going out, or is that something you can do anyway?
No, that's something we've been working on. Even before Camille came in, I think there was 4 or 5 players who have left and not been replaced. So, the squad we feel needs strengthening a little bit. It's hampered a little bit with the number of injuries we've got as well, and a bit of illness within it. When you're missing 6 or 7 even from a big squad, that's too many. You can always survive with 1, 2, possibly 3 at the most, but when it gets to those bigger numbers, then it does have an effect. But we did have options as well on the bench today, and even Mackin not getting on, just even with his energy, which again we'll need at certain stages. All of a sudden we just look a little bit stronger with just one addition. So if we get a few more in, then hopefully we'll strong.